It's time for the Las Vegas Sportsline. Brought to you by the Westgate Las Vegas, home of the world's largest race and sportsbook and the Super Contest.
Money won is twice as sweet as money earned.
Presented by WagerTalk.com.
And that's the cue. Here we go. Tuesday edition of the Las Vegas Sportsline. It is brought to you by Superbook USA. Jeff Sherman will be joining us in a little bit. Got a lot of stuff to go over with Jeff today. Marco DAngelo is here. I'm Dave Cokin. Ari Platinum is our producer extraordinaire. Let's get right into last night. Virginia. That's a good rebound. I mean, listen, that could have been a down spot for them coming off a disappointing result against Duke, where they didn't play that badly, but Duke just lit it up from outside. What are you going to do? But they went in and they slowed down North Carolina, made it the game at their tempo, and I thought that was a really good character-building bounce-back win for the Cavaliers.
I agree with you 100%, and I like that result, Dave, because that was my play yesterday. It worked out good. But, yes, that was a litmus test for me for Virginia because they had every right to come in there flat after the Duke game because it was such a big game. I mean, everybody, we did it on the show. Yep. We said it's the game of the year on Saturday, Duke and Virginia, and then they fell short to come back and go on the road to play at North Carolina. That's not an easy place to go in and win, but you hit the nail on the key, and that was the key to me in that game is North Carolina loves to go up and down the floor. Virginia was able to slow that down, and we knew that North Carolina was not going to hit the shots from the outside the way Duke did on Saturday, and Virginia got the win, and it's a good one. We had a couple statement games last night.
We did. A bad statement delivered by Oklahoma. They needed to win this game. Going into Baylor last night, 4-game losing streak. If it were just an isolated 4-game losing streak, say, okay, not that big a deal. Any team can go through that. The problem is they went through the exact same thing last year where they just had a meltdown and could not get it back together. They never did get it back together. And I think that Oklahoma mentally is in that same place where they were last year, with the thought being, we're stuck in this again. We've fallen and we can't get up, like the old lady does in those silly commercials. Great win for Baylor, which is a little bit short-handed right now, but they end up getting the sweep over the Longhorns. Over the Sooners. Baylor is positioning itself well to get to an NCAA tournament. Oklahoma is not.
Yeah, Oklahoma. If you would have told me before the game that Oklahoma was going to keep Baylor under 60, I would have thought they would have won the ball game. But their offense struggled. And, to have this happen 2 years in a row, very uncharacteristic of the coaching because, Kruger does a phenomenal job with Oklahoma. And last year, I blamed it more on everybody standing around and looking at Trae Young, trying to do everything himself. And they're like, okay, go ahead. You're going to do it.
But this year's team looked like it was really – they looked like they were going to be a really good team. And they have just gone backwards since Big 12 play began, and in a rather substantial way.
They are. And let's give Baylor credit for the injuries they've had. They got better after the injury. It's shocking. And
now they got 2 more guys banged up, and they still win the game.
This is a good team that's getting a lot of it. This will benefit them moving forward, Dave, because they got a lot of role players that are playing significant minutes now for Baylor. It's going to make this a deep team if they ever get healthy.
Kansas, due to some injuries and an ineligible player, has become one of the youngest teams in the country because they've got 4 freshmen who really weren't seeing all that much time who are now playing a lot of minutes. For them to go in and win at TCU last night in an overtime game, very impressive for the Jayhawks.
Especially the fact when you had the lead and then you go into overtime on the road. We've been in this road a long time, Dave. That usually the team that took the momentum to get it to overtime generally will get that win, and especially at home. TCU didn't do it. That is a big game for Kansas, and it keeps them alive for keeping that record alive of 14 straight Big 12 championships. They still got a shot. If a couple teams on the top make a mistake and they got some key games coming up at the end, this will be a fun run to see if they keep that streak alive.
And for TCU fans, it's Pitt deja vu. It just is. Jamie Dixon does a fine job, but he's just not a big game winner. He just isn't. He wasn't at Pittsburgh, and he still isn't at TCU.
He gets that team. You know what? It's the Marty Schottenheimer of college basketball. all of his teams win. I mean, he improved TCU.
Yes, absolutely. He'll get a program good. His
Not
programs
great.
never get great.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. Unfortunately, I saw a lot of it, and I was a big fan of Jamie Dixon. I was bitter the way Ben Howland left, and I liked the job that Jamie did, but couldn't get us to that next level.
We have a really good schedule tonight. I mean, it's a Tuesday night. You think, it's loaded. It is loaded. We're going to do some NBA later. We'll do more college games later, including the Mountain West game involving the Rebels. But let's get it rolling with 4 big games tonight in our MJ Christensen 4 at 4.
1, 2, 3 into the 4.
Put them 4s up. Put the 4s up, I said. Do it right now.
Tonight's action is just around the bend, and the guys want to get your night off to a great start.
4.
It's the Las Vegas Sportsline's 4 at 4.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. Unbelievable.
We'll get to the Golden Knights and Arizona Coyotes later on as well in our marquee matchup. 2 days away. You're 48 hours away. And if you haven't taken care of business yet, I'm going to throw you a lifeline right now. Just drive over to Boca Park to MJ Christensen. They've still got, they could hold you hostage at this point because you got to get something good for the wife or girlfriend. And they could be charging you top dollar for this stuff, but they still got 30% to 70% off lots of items in the store for their Valentine's Day special. So, there's just no excuse. Get over there. Boca Park is where MJ Christensen is located. You can check out the website, mjchristensen.com. You can check them out on Facebook for additional exclusive specials. Don't screw up Valentine's Day, okay? You can listen. If it's Flag Day and you miss out getting her a flag or something like that, I don't know. Okay. You can get this. You can get by on certain days. You can't on Valentine's Day. It means more to them than it does to us. Yes, I am a sexist. It just does. It does. Okay, guys don't care about Valentine's Day. I'm a typical guy. I don't care about Valentine's Day. Every girl I've ever had a relationship with, that's a big one. And they don't want. And in my opinion, they don't want chocolates and flowers. They want something shiny.
There you go. Ed, we were in the car the other day when you happened to be, you and Ralph were on the air and you were doing the MJ Christensen ad. And I made the mistake of telling, I said, yeah, Dave had fun every time he was doing it when I was on, saying, oh, you're going to get Lori something. So she's been bringing that up. Thanks. Yeah.
Well,
thanks,
but
buddy.
It's worth it because it makes them so happy. That's the whole idea. You bring joy to the one you love. I mean, I'm not saying that as a joke.
There's a rhyme. Happy wife, happy life.
There you go. All right. I'm not saying, you can, if you want to go extreme and get some dog jewelry.
Yeah, okay.
They actually have that, too.
Yeah, I told her about that, too. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, okay.
You're helping me out, buddy.
Purdue and Maryland are playing tonight. Basketball in College Park. I think this is a more important game for Maryland, but Purdue has been getting the betting action.
Purdue's been playing some great basketball. This is a team that's played well all year, and yet we don't talk about them in the Big Ten. It's the other teams that we talk about, the Michigans, the Michigan States. This is a team going in here right now. They've won 8 in a row, 7-1 against the spread.
Might have the player of the year.
They could very well.
Edwards he's fantastic. Great player.
The two Duke guys take the voting away from each other, so that could happen.
I don't think he'll be the player of the year, but he should be in everybody's top 5 ballot, okay?
I agree with you. Maryland, this was a team, Dave, they got off to a hot start, and everybody was starting to chirp about them a little bit, but they've gone cold 2-3 the last 5. But I got to point out that over their last 6 games, they've played 4 on the road and 1 on a home neutral. The one true home game, they buried Northwestern. Back in early December, Purdue was -9 and only won by 2 points against Maryland. I think Maryland's going to give them a battle tonight. I know the money's going the other way. This is one where I don't agree. I think they're overlooking Maryland in that schedule that they had back at home. They need a big signature win. This would be it tonight.
It's not like LSU's done anything wrong. They're still playing good ball, but Kentucky has gotten red hot, and they look really good right now. Thus, you've got a big number tonight. I think a lot of sharp bettors who play the math will get on the LSU side in this game, and I can't disagree with that. I don't think I'm going against Kentucky right now, though. They've developed a half-court offense. and it's a good-looking half-court offense. Now, you combine that with their size. I mean, they are a long team, and their athleticism. They're going to be a really tough opponent for everybody at this point, as long as they continue to play at this level offensively. I don't know if LSU can stay with them for 40 minutes. I really don't.
You know, and my numbers have Kentucky slightly in this one to take them. My holdup in this game is what Kentucky has on deck. And that's the big showdown with number one Tennessee.
Yep.
That is my only concern in this one. And as you talk about LSU, Kentucky's hot. There's no question about it. And they've actually peaked earlier than they normally do. We always see the Kentucky teams get better as the season goes on.
They're so young. As a rule, you know, these freshmen are still freshmen until basically like late February or March. Then the experience factor kicks in. This is a young team once again, but I mean, they look.
They're ahead of the learning curve for a typical Kentucky
they're
team.
Scary good right now.
They are. But I'll tell you what, Dave, you look at this LSU team, they're 12-1 straight up.
I'm telling you.
The last 13.
And listen, Will Wade, I've said this about 18,000 times the show, but I'll make it 18,001. Will Wade is one of my favorite coaches in the country.
But when you're in a conference that has Tennessee, who's number one right now, and Kentucky, who's always the dominant team, you forget about them. I'm passing this one. I'm going to enjoy it. I'll tell you what I would really like to see. I would like to see Kentucky have that scare tonight. Set me up for a little showdown maybe on Saturday with the Tennessee team coming to town.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Michigan State and Wisconsin battle it out tonight. You would expect this will be one of those grinder basketball games where Wisconsin tries to slow it to a crawl, and on their home court, they're usually pretty good at doing that. And whether they can contain Michigan State for 40 will decide who gets the victory in this game. It's a toss-up to me.
You know this is going to be a hard-fought game because these are two very good defensive teams. Michigan State, they're allowing their teams, they're number 3 in the country, they're only allowing 37% shooting against them for the season. That's going to be a problem for Wisconsin tonight because Wisconsin has not been shooting well. This is a game where I'm going to look to Michigan State. They had the 3-game losing streak. Then they got the win. Well, you know how we like to hear what coaches have to say? Did you see the comments Tom Izzo made?
I did not.
And I loved it because he used one of my favorite sayings in his quote, and this is exactly what he said. At times, I try to forget where I came from, but I mean that sincerely. You forget what got you to where you are. I think when you are having success over and over, and you hear so many people praising you, including social media and the media, you get a tendency to get a little fat and sassy.
Oh, he said that.
He said fat and sassy. I copied and pasted it to have the quote because you know I love that one.
Yes, that's one of your favorites.
And they did get back to business in the last game. They had 24 turnovers in that last loss, that horrible loss to Illinois. They didn't have but 9 in the last game. I think they woke the Giant back up. Take Michigan State.
Now, is this, well, we know it's a big situational sandwich, if you will. Mm-hmm. But is that good enough to go against these Duke Blue Devils? I'm guessing that Marco might like Louisville here. It's a huge game for Louisville. This is a proving ground game for Louisville. And if you're going to catch Duke at the right time, I suppose this is it.
Dave, you get me. It's Valentine's Day coming up. You get me. You know where I'm going on this game. Thank you, buddy. Louisville, yes, I'm on them here. Horrible spot for Duke. They are coming off their absolute best game. You've seen Duke all year.
They couldn't have played much better with the way they shot the ball.
First game of the season when they blew out Kentucky, I mean, that was a masterpiece. But to beat Virginia, the way they beat Virginia and do it, hitting 57% from the field, 13 of 21 for the 3-pointers. I just think they have to have a letdown. And this Louisville team's playing well, too. They had a tough loss on Saturday in overtime on the road, which was a bad spot for them. They were coming off a big win against Virginia Tech earlier in the week on the road, and then they went to Florida State. I like Louisville here. Yes, I got them plus the points.
Time to bring in Jeff Sherman from Superbook USA at the Westgate and throughout the country now that we're getting legalized wagering. It's pretty cool to say that. Jeff is, let's get right into this, Jeff, because I'm not good at this stuff, remembering dates and stuff like that. Have we had this before where the Golden Knights and UNLV are both home on the same night?
I'm sure it's happened. I can't recall it myself. I'm just as bad with dates as you are. So.
Well, we don't have to worry about the dates, but what are we seeing as far as the action's going, who's getting more